Hey everyone, welcome back to Merch Disrupted, where we explore the future of the branded merchandise industry. Today I'm pumped to be joined by Karina Shivdasani and Hannah Shaw from Color Culture, a Houston-based POD powerhouse redefining streetwear and fashion. Gone are the days of low-quality print on demand. Color Culture is delivering ultra-premium, fashion-forward apparel that's turning heads. In this episode, we'll dive into how their cutting edge approach is disrupting licensing, streetwear, and high-end fashion, proving print on demand can hang with the big players. All right, you guys like my
Wow. Yeah.
scripted intro there?
Thanks for that.
That's the only scripted part of this conversation, so
Yeah, we may need to borrow that. Copy paste
yeah.
it and then email to me.
Yeah, I know a service that can write one for you. It's called ChatGPT.
Yeah. That Uncle Chad over there. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, great. It's so great to have you guys on. Just a little bit of context for the audience. So I met Karina and Hannah and the Color Culture team. Gosh, I think it was sometime last year. And we are now kind of partnered. We'll get to that much later in the episode, but I've always been an evangelist for print on demand and kind of the impact that it can have on not just these kind of new, you know, niche markets that it's created within branded merch, but the big traditional segments like fashion, licensing, promo, etc. And I had not met a company that took that as seriously as Color Culture when it comes to like retail quality, print on demand, and streetwear, etc. So, really excited about this conversation. Color Culture is an amazing company. I'll stop rambling right now and hand it over to you all. But maybe if you could just give us, kind of start with how this all came together and how you got into the space.
Yeah, for sure. So my background is in women's fashion retailing. So as a buyer for many years, sourcing products around the globe for the US contemporary women's market. My cousin and I had this idea to step out, for me to step out and for us to launch our own fashion business. This happened around the time I think we launched 3 months prior to COVID. So, young, tenacious, had all these ideas, wanted to step out into the market, and essentially fell on our faces with everything that was happening in the global industry, in the fashion industry. Nobody was wearing contemporary clothes anymore. Everyone was like in loungewear, and there was this huge in the culture of the world and how we saw fashion and what fashion meant to our day-to-day lives. In this Rubik's Cube of confusion on how to run a business, a new business with all these intricacies, we recognize that not only retailers, but even small fashion brands like us don't have flexibility within the market. We don't have intuitive ways to test and react to the business. We're always tied to MOQs, whether it's 500 unit MOQs, which are not always a workable MOQ for smaller businesses, to 1,500 unit MOQs coming out of India, China, Bangladesh, whatever have you. The industry is in this overconsumption paradigm, and it's not working. It's not working for anybody. I mean, we look at what sustainability is pushing into the market, rightfully so. We look at where all of our overused or overconsumed products is ending up in landfills. So in this situation of we have knowledge of the industry. My partner, who's my cousin, has technical knowledge and hands-on fabrics and exports and all these things. How do we do something different, and how do we solve this problem for people like us? This is really how it all started, and that's where Color Culture was born. Color culture, the whole premise of the whole idea is partnering with people who want to color culture. People like
Mm.
us have a vision, people you see influencers, YouTubers, small streetwear brands, small charities popping up, people that are wanting to make a difference. How do we partner with them to amplify their voices? And that's where POD became the solve here. And our passion to merge true fashion with the art of digital printing is what really pushed this forward. There's a lot of people in the industry that can do screen printing and can do the and do it beautifully. However, there wasn't a lot of people solving the problem for people who had a vision, a voice, who wanted their product to, what we always say internally is, we don't want to be the people that make the shirts that end up in the pajama drawer. That's not our job. We want you to buy merch from us and be, have it be hanging in closet next to your $200 t-shirt. That's what color culture is here to do. And how do we partner with brands who want to say something and to infiltrate the market and basically decentralize fashion? How do we support them? It's through our platform, through POD and through the blanks that we house here. And also, there's so much more than that, right? We like invest in our design, in bringing the best people on board with us to help pre-press and quality and all the things that go along with that. But long story short, that's how we got to where we are today.
Wow. Yeah, I can't tell you how many people that I've spoken with in kind of my print on demand journey, kind of pre 2020, especially in the early days, who really saw this as a way for them to like start a brand. Finally, like somebody that has an idea, that is creative, doesn't have to go through like doesn't is not limited by the traditional barriers to entry into the space, but then only to be kind of like disappointed to know that, oh well, I can only really do this one type of cotton shirt, and I'm gonna get like a pre-treat box and it's gonna smell like vinegar, and it's just sort of getting cascading levels of disappointment about what you're actually able to produce. And that was kind of that was always I think the limiting factor from like certainly when I first got into the space around 2012, up until maybe, you know, 2017, 2018, 2019, and of course today we can produce, almost any type of branded merch product that's expected in a retail setting. So yeah, very, very exciting time. Um, so Hannah, how did you get involved in all this?
How did I get involved in all of this? Well, I I had a recruiter swoop into my DMs on LinkedIn say
I'm sorry.
and say, "We'd like to speak with you." And, essentially I was sold the second I got on the call with Karina. I think actually my interview with Karina, and it was intended to be like a 30-minute discovery, but we were on the phone for a full hour and ended up talking about much more than business, but we align in so many different ways. It's uncanny at times. We say we have a shared brain cell pretty much.
That's great. Um, and so, I guess like maybe let's move a little bit into kind of like the how you guys are doing this. I mean, I think, the term, premium streetwear, premium retail quality, print on demand, like some of our audience might not even kind of understand what that means. And then also, how do you make this all happen? Like what does your supply chain look like, and what does your manufacturing look like?
Yeah, two very different questions. So I'll start with the first half, and then I'll give it to Karina for the manufacturing side. Um, I would say if someone is going to have an introduction to why it would matter, whether it's that we all know when we get an item where we're like, oh well, thank you, and
Yeah.
you're not gonna use it again, or when you get an item that you've had for years and it we say also merch that means more. It's not only about the quality, it's about what that item connects you to, whether that's, a school or a company you've worked for, or, even going down to the farmer's market, right? You get a really awesome tote bag that it feels quality and you want to carry it with you. It's attached to a memory, and it we have items. I have items from 15 years ago that's an item with a logo on it, and I just will not let it go. I think I just recently had a family member reach out to me with this old white dirty hat that was embroidered with a bass. It's Castaic Glass, my dad's company from 35 years ago, and it is so precious to me. The quality of the hat is incredible. Maybe they just maybe they had that standard back in the day, but it's 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 nostalgic, and I think that when we can build those kinds of relationships with the brands that approach color culture, they also see the value, and that's really what's important. Also, more than that, well, I would say not more, but side by side to that is where you put your logo, it's a walking billboard, right? And
Hmm.
you choose to put your logo on represents your brand and truly represents what matters to you. So, and people just don't want junk. They really don't want it. Like, let's not slap our logo on anything these days, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think once they have that touch and feel of those more premium items, they see they see it, and a lot of times we're able to get those items to an equal or similar price point as some of the entry level or mid tier brands.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exciting.
I think, like, it's like when you get that crunchy shirt that feels a little too rough, and it
Crunchy.
has that has that graphic on there that is already cracking the moment you see it. It's that versus the soft lived in feel and where you run soft and it doesn't feel like plaster on there. Like that is easily the difference on what we are doing and trying to do for the industry. Um your second part of the question was about our manufacturing process. We have a warehouse right behind this office here where my production or my operations director manages that. She comes from 20 years experience in ops sourcing, running factories in India, doing sourcing in the US for fashion brands, and then joined me here when we launched, running the back office here and the production. We have our technologies of digital printing. We source our blanks locally through local brands, and also we produce our own blanks out of Portugal. And now getting our next round of blanks out of India. That all is stored in our warehouse. The process of when somebody works with us, whether it's B2B or POD, is a little different. But essentially, the holistic view is orders come through, it comes through our tech. Um, the back office knows exactly what to do based on how SKUs are built. Products go through the printer, go through the dryer, and literally a unit is complete within 5 minutes max. It's probably closer to 2 minutes and then into the dryer, but it's a very seamless process. I think print on demand allows us to be extremely flexible, to be able to do samples at a drop, be able to do e-com fulfillment, be able to run with the client and get their event merch done overnight. It allows us a lot of flexibility, and that's what's most exciting about the technology.
Yeah, that's great. And can you share a little bit of info on kind of like the printing technology that you're currently using today?
Yeah, we use Cornete Technologies in-house. And there's so much out in the industry, different levels of quality, different levels of output. With what we currently use, after doing a lot of research, we found that it really brings the highest level of print quality to the table to ensure that, after 6 washes, there is inherent integrity in the print still. Because there's a lot of people or a lot of players in the market and a lot of tech in the market where a lot of the promotional products industry and a lot of the merch game is run on the cheapest dollar, and you get that quality out as well. But we really pride ourselves, no matter if we're printing a lower end for a client who has a different budget, a lower end budget versus a higher end. Their blanks may differ, but the quality that we put in the print is going to have the same quality output throughput.
Yeah, and I mean, based on kind of some of the products that we've received from you, it's very clear that you all kind of baby the machines and take very good care of them because, I come from a DTG background and the print quality is amazing. So
Yeah, I all the credit on that goes to my ops director and Lou, who's our operator in the back. He is he is a wizard with the machine, a wizard.
Well, and I'll also say that, like, when we bring in new brands, the QC checks, we have so many touch points of QC here that if it fails, it doesn't mean that it's not gonna be added to our catalog, but it just means it's gonna be a little bit more delayed because it matters so much to us that when somebody does receive our items, it is flawless. We want to leave people speechless and to say, "Oh, wow, you we can basically print a photograph, right? Which is and have it look like something you would quite literally frame. Um, but yeah, Sandy's back there holding down the line, making sure the QC checks go through. And it's a rigorous test. And once they pass, if someone places an order with us, it goes through another QC before it goes through to the customer. So we quality is top of mind.
I think one thing to add on for the audience is like the difference between DTG and regular screen printing is A, we can do it on a fly. B, we don't there's no upcharge for the number of colors that the printer can do. So the difference of when you do screen printing of laying down screens and having color overlay, which is a more manual process, which is why more colors cost more. Digital printing, think of like a a machine the size of an SUV that is basically a paper printer built like an SUV that takes apparel in. That's like the easiest way for people that are not familiar to understand. And it will lay down ink just like just like a computer does or a computer printer does in the most simplistic form. So we it allows us to print pictures, print highs and lows of skin tone seamlessly. There is no the technology reads what it needs to do. There's no cap. I can do prints of 1,000 colors and like 1,000 color variations, and if it's the same logo size of a black and white, it costs the end customer the same thing. So that is really important because it allows us to really amplify what we can do for our end customer. And as we think of our positioning specifically in color culture, when we're heart is in supporting people that are out there amplifying um, amplifying waves of goodness and different things out in our culture. There's going to be a lot of color, there's going to be a lot of graphics, there's going to be a lot of like think of bam explosion colors. So this allows us to do that super seamlessly. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember at the end of the day, it's like I really like making pizza and I also really like printing shirts. And they're both kind of like at the end of the day, you have your raw ingredients, right? And then you have like your process and your QC and like the execution of it. So it's very seemingly simple, like, oh, it's just a blank plus a print or a stitch or some sort of decorating technique. And I remember when I got into like streetwear early 2000s, when I was like in college and brands like, the Hundreds and Supreme and like those types of brands and kind of coveting like these limited release shirts that would come out and I think we're like 30, $40 at the time, which might be like 50, $60 now. Um, and then getting into the branded merch world, a few years later, and then you realize like, oh, it's all just a blank plus a print, and there's like, variations in the blank, variations in the type of printing. But even with screen printing in the traditional setup, there's a huge difference between, somebody that's just maybe not mixing ink very carefully, not having the right sort of like pre-press process or warm up process on a screen print machine. I think in screen printing there's even more variables that you have to dial in, and so there's a huge difference between kind of like a shop that's not very optimized versus a shop that might be printing for one of those streetwear brands or Nike, where they're dealing with tech packs that have hundreds of pages, and it's so exciting that you can finally apply that same concept to print on demand. And shout out to Sandy, who's awesome by the way. That it's like you guys have taken that formula and you're just doing the same thing with technologies that are a lot more sustainable, have a lot more variability, and a lot more flexibility as well.
Yeah, Sandy always likes to remind us when Hannah brings something to the fold, like, "Hey, we've done something similar, just we can print it on this, right? We can do this." She's like, "Hannah, everything has its own recipe." And it is. Everything has its own secret sauce. Every blank has its own secret recipe on how it all comes together. Similar to your pizza analogy, like making the if you're having an almond flour crust versus like a regular crust, your recipe on how it all comes together is going to be different. And like fine tuning that, and that's going back to the piece of quality, fine tuning that and making sure we have that perfect before we allow ourselves to print for customers is our key thing. And that's what Sandy, my magician, does for us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring things to Sandy, and it is exactly like that. Hannah, we need to QC, and I know, but at the same time, she'll push back, and then literally the next day she'll be like, "Okay, so here's the solution. Here's what we're gonna do, and here's how we're gonna go after it." And so it all works out. It's like, can I show this one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we had just because summertime is here, and it's hard with like I poly and the DTG. So we have to find cotton, and we're trying to find new streetwear, like exciting things. So this is a test, but we have like this mesh
Oh, wow.
lot that went through.
Yeah.
And so
Very cool.
this is like one of her first rounds of tests. So it's like a kind of semi sheer summer top
Also, shout
for
out to Laredo Heat Soccer.
yeah. A
And
logo plug right there. Um But yeah, I had asked Sandy, I said, "I really need something similar to this for one of our brands, and, we need to find a solution," and she was like, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do." So, it's exciting.
yeah, I mean, another one of the first things that, I got really excited about with color culture is, and I think, Karina, this is like, a testament to kind of your background in, as a buyer and premium retail, um, how you guys push the limits in blanks and your sourcing, I think is really interesting because, when you look at most print on demand suppliers, obviously everybody is optimizing for, the Gildan 5000, the Bella 3001, the G15 or 18500 or whatever. Not that those are bad blanks, but it's just your standard bread and butter, type products. And I love the catalog that you all have, and also your just commitment to sourcing the highest quality products. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that is a passion of ours and how we can really push the fashion quotient and allow this to be more of an adaptable solution to retailers and brands. When we got into this space, the first thing we did was scrape the market, see what's there, see what's working for everybody, bring a lot of blanks in house and test it based on different points of measure, actually measuring out blanks and seeing if there's consistent quality against, against their tech packs, their measurements. Does a medium size black and a medium size blue actually measure the same? And a lot of times it's not the case. And does it wash well? Does the product bleed when it washes? Does it shrink after it washes? Is the cotton pre-shrunk? All of these points of measure that we basically brought into the fold against everything that we found in the market from the low to the high. So we picked the best of the best and also the like best of the best per price point because we know we want to be able to offer this to people and brands of all revenue ranges and all budget ranges. But what I found in this research is that we can hold the quality of the print and the inherent quality of what we add to the garment. But if the base garment is failing and I don't have my arms wrapped around that whole supply chain, then I'm operating with one hand tied behind my back. And
Mm.
so my continued commitment is to keep testing blanks and doing our own product development and bringing things in. We're just getting our we did a sample shipment of some product that I developed in Portugal that performed well with our clients. Beautiful quality, inherent quality, all the things that I just talked about makes me like sing with joy on the inside. But our bulk shipment will be coming in of those like oversized streetwear tees this month, so we're very excited about that. Um, prepping for our Q4 hoodies coming out of India, getting that under our belt now. So I think every business, and I'm talking about blank businesses that are out in the market, operate to what they need for their customers. And sometimes decentralized production, whether some things are happening in Guatemala and some things are happening in China or Vietnam for cost or whatever works for them, works for them. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for my end customer. So I have to continue to test my blanks and spot check how they're coming in and then continue to build as fast as I can my own PD because I'm really committed to bringing our own color culture product to the market in a bigger way, where I know that I can wrap my hands around the whole supply chain and be responsible for everything that the customer experiences on the back end.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, very different mentality. Again, nothing wrong with kind of the current print on demand, black, navy, red, unisex ring spun tee and 50/50 poly hoodie. That's a great business and there's a lot of that business out there, but um all the things that you're talking about are kind of like we talk a lot about how is print on demand poised to disrupt these more traditional larger segments within branded merch. And whether you're a print on demand supplier or platform that has kind of played in that internet marketer, kind of space that sort of started print on demand, or you're, in the promo space and you're not doing any print on demand and you're just kind of like doing things the same way. The status quo is just kind of like no longer an option. And I think the all of the things that you're talking about, I'm not sure you know, if I can, uh, I'm not sure if I can articulate just how like revolutionary and forward thinking that is. And I think your clients, I don't want to, give away any of your clients, but some of the clients that like Hannah has kind of, brought in to test things out are really a testament to that because these are not clients that are going to go use a print on demand platform that just, oh, maybe some days it's a Bella, maybe some days it's a Gildan, maybe some days it's, more orange, some days it's more red, that type of quality.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say, because we we have so many different types of customers that we're supporting, right? We have your traditional, possibly corporate CPG brands, more traditional promotional products that, sometimes they do want the Gildans and the Bella Canvas next levels of the world. And they're familiar with it, they're comfortable with it, they know what it feels like, and they like it. So, as long as we can make them happy, and at the same time, some of those brands want to be introduced to something more premium. They get excited about that premium. Uh, but when we're looking at musicians, I think that this is something that I'm really excited about. I know Karina's really excited about it.
Hmm.
Is when we're speaking to some of these musicians, merch can make or break an entire tour from a financial perspective. And a lot of times they'll go to some of the more common print on demand models and they're not getting consistency. Their fans are showing up to shows and not necessarily purchasing, or they might not have budget to invest in a bunch of merch, but they know that they need to. So the print on demand model where we have our eyes on every single order that's going out gives them a lot of relief that we've got their back in making sure their tour merch is going out with that A+ Sandy stamp on it. And customer service, I would say, I mean, customer happiness, however we wanna phrase it, is so top of mind because at the end of the day, when we are in a print on demand model, the end customer isn't seeing color culture as the name. They're seeing
Right.
who the artist is or whoever that brand is, and they're saying, "Why did you give me something that looks this way?" Right? And that is we we will never and if it did happen, which so far it hasn't, but if it did happen, our first thing is to make it right, ship out something, make sure that the end customer is happy because it represents the artist, not us. And it's so we need to have everybody's back in that. And so anyways, back to the Sandy stamp of approval. As long as it's
Real.
yeah.
Well,
It
and oh, go ahead, Karina. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say it solves a problem from there are some people who they know they need merch, they don't have the investment for it. That's where the POD comes in. They'll do small batches and we do low minimums to support those budgets. Yeah, and I think and we're always serving quality, whether that's a low quantity or a high end, yeah, ticket order. Mhm.
Yeah, I think also one vertical that we don't talk enough about is retailers. And coming from that background, like I'm so passionate about how it could really turn things very positive for retailers, not the POD model. Let me backtrack. The POD model for retailers is being used as e-com fulfillment a lot for licensed goods. So you see all these beautiful t-shirts, Marvel, Disney, what have you. You order it on so and so's website. There's a lot of people in this space that are doing the POD fulfillment for that. But there is this beautiful sweet spot of contemporary fashion and streetwear within retailers that can be unlocked and you know, as we think about retail cycles and how retailers buy, it's usually 6 months, 4 months prior to on the floor dates. And there's the last time I was in buying, there's always a speed to market conversation. How quick can we get? How much money can we leave open to chase into our best sellers to get the products that we have guarantees that will sell back on the floor? This is where POD would be brilliant and can be
Mm.
brilliant. And there are pockets of every women's, men's, or children's collections that are always in some sort of graphic space. And
Hmm.
if partner with more retailers of the world to do A store buys, meaning their top volume buys, do test. POD allows us to print 10 units, 1 unit, 3 units, and we can get smarter in using our tech and our model here to be able to support bigger retailers in testing and knowing exactly how to buy, whether they buy their bulk overseas and save money that way and have, but they'll have more of an intuitive buy. And that's our job here is how do we help people actually reduce consumption and buy smarter? Because that is a huge passion of mine is let's work together to make smarter decisions. Maybe I sell less units. Fine though. We're making the right decision for everybody. And so I think as we think about and we talk about verticals, how to unlock, this is another one that I am so excited about and so passionate about supporting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complete game changer. We had talked with some buyers in the retail space, 10 plus years ago in my early days of print on demand. And it was always the same kind of conversation of um the quality isn't there, the price point doesn't make sense, and the product flexibility is not attractive enough for us. So you can only do it, it's kind of like a one trick pony, and that pony isn't really that exciting for us. And so I don't mean like I think whether you're using a Next Level or a Reporter or a Gildan or whatever, those are all great products. But the challenge is you've got like the foundation, which I think is so important that most people I think don't get, which is having the sourcing, having the execution dialed in, having the Sandy, QC, right, all of these things, so you can build that trust around the consistency of the product. but then also by having like this very wide assortment of blank products and the types of products that you can create that are retail ready, that's another huge unlock. And so that's what excites me is that finally it feels like we're just at the starting line here of what's possible because print on demand wasn't even able to participate in these markets until very recently. And so I guess, Karina, with your experience on the retail buying side, is that something, they're like these conversations with the buyers that I had 10 years ago, it was like a 10-minute conversation and just, no, this isn't for me. Bye. So do you feel like is that are you seeing that kind of like opening up like this sort of that lane, I guess, kind of opening up and continuing to widen?
Yeah, I think in general, Retail the retail industry has shifted so much over the past 20 years. Let's look at like where everybody was on a department store model, so heavily focused. Now everybody's supporting their brands of choice, and things are getting so much more decentralized. So I think anything we can do to showcase the ROI in POD. I mean, at the end of the day, we all, from a retail perspective, we need to be looking at not not IMU and margins at the top, and we need to be looking at net margins, end of season, after discounting. When we're having conversations looking at the bottom line, after seeing how much overconsumption is costing us,
Mm,
that's where the conversation starts to change. And I think, print on demand from when you were coding 10 years ago to the way that the ink lays down now and the tech that we have, it's a very different conversation. We can produce fashion.
yep.
And for the sake of quick test and smart A/B testing to ensure the right buys for the biggest seasons, oh, it makes so much sense. I mean, think about ugly Christmas sweaters. How many brands do ugly Christmas sweaters?
Right.
No, there's ways that we can be smart and test things in October with Halloween to test quality that clients are going after, the type of verbiage, the sentiment, and then amplify it with overseas production, or maybe having blanks ready and changing phrases and graphics last minute to capitalize on the biggest dollars that can be had. It's it's a very smart move.
Yeah.
And, I'm so passionate about this because doing contemporary and women's fashion for so many years, I had a very big graphic business, and I had a big holiday sweater business, and, the closest I could get, was this 8 years ago? How old am I? When did I do this? The closest I got about maybe 7, 8 years ago to doing a print on demand, so to speak, model was a 5-week turn, out of Mexico by holding and investing in my blanks, reading and reacting to what the customer was buying, whether it was like we had this whole thing about moms and wine, and now I'm a mom and I know I don't drink wine, I totally get it.
You get it.
They were like, I had verticals of sentiment. So I had my blanks ready, and it was like, okay, wine is outperforming. I need more wine stuff. I need more dog walking stuff, whatever the case was. And then slap it on have my designer make it, produce it in Mexico, the print, and bring it to my top AB doors, whatever the case is. But the fastest I could get was 6 weeks in DC, and then
Wow.
from in my DC, it took another 2 weeks to get to all my stores. So, I feel like I'm just sitting here bursting at the seams saying, "Oh my god, we're so close to the solve here, like, we know what to do now." I definitely think we can turn the tides here. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many kind of like forces are going into that trend too. I mean, you've obviously got COVID was a big one, right? Where, you just had supply chain meltdowns and everybody's rethinking their supply chain strategies. You touched on overproduction, and I think people are finally realizing, consumers are finally waking up to the fact that, does it make sense to produce 92 million tons of textile waste, every single year. But another one that so Aaron Yanelli and I went pretty deep on this last week. the idea that consumers want more curated and interesting product. So that's the other is that part of the conversations that you're having with some of these buyers and some of these retail brands where, rather than producing a massive amount of something that they know is going to be a bread and butter product, and then, and kind of focusing on those bread and butter categories, like taking more risk in the types of designs and actual like iterations of products that they want to put out.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that in general as a cultural movement, right? If we think again how decentralized the fashion industry has become with more players, with individuals becoming the players in the game rather than companies, people are
I love that.
more art. People are seeing more thought-provoking quotes. They're seeing things that move them, and I think rather than being a culture of the masses and the herd culture, I guess, we're seeing so much more individualization. People are so much more in tune with who they want to be, and they're using fashion even more so than we've seen in the past to amplify that. So yes, graphics are getting more intricate, and there's more color being used, and there's really interesting print placements that are happening,
Mm,
whether it's down the sleeve, which is not that interesting, but different than front back. We're getting down the seam request and things like that. And yeah, I think that we're seeing that in all facets. I think we can even see that like within CPG and on the types of goods that are coming out past where we had one milk to buy, one cow milk to buy. Now look at how many different versions and how many different it's like almond milk and almond milk no gum, just regular almond milk, vanilla almond milk. I mean, our
right.
as a culture, we're getting more colorful. And so I think the customers are demanding that from every industry right now, including us. I think we're the forefront. Fashion is a forefront at that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible time to be in print on demand. I think that's kind of too limiting of a word, right? It's like just the idea of not pre-producing things in batches and trying to push that on the market, but coming up with ideas as like a catalyst and then sort of, producing things after the fact.
Maybe
But
we
yeah,
can call it like more sustainable fast fashion.
I
Like
love that.
it's like
Yeah.
sustainable fast fashion. We're really using cotton-rich products. Our inks are, non-toxic. They have way less chemicals in it. They're more water-based, and we are doing what we can to just print to the need and not have any overconsumption. So and, oh, actually, printing in this fashion uses less water and electricity as well. So, holy maybe we can I'm sure there's more intricacy into actually claim to calling it that, but for this sake, I think we're a little bit more we
The
can
title's getting really long.
sustainable fast fashion.
Sustainable fashion.
Smarter fashion. Smart fashion.
I like smart fashion. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to the personalization piece of the puzzle, like we're talking about here, is we're seeing also that bridge of streetwear getting into the promotional product space.
Yes.
So we were at a trade show in Anaheim at the beginning of the year, and really some popular items being given away to customers that you'll see, someone saying, "Where did you get that bag? Where did you get that?"
Hmm.
And then they'll go all the way across the trade show just to get that item, and then they're introduced to the brand, right? But those items
Totally.
have to be made with care. No one's gonna look at a tote bag that was the $1.25 tote bag that you just slapped your logo on it. They want, you know, if it's a t-shirt, one of my favorite ones, it wasn't something that we did. It's something that I saw and it just blew my mind, was the Waffle House drop that
Yeah.
I saw. So Waffle House did this drop that was like puff prints, uh exterior labels, cut and sew, like logo that goes from
Wow.
sleeve all the way across the chest to the other sleeve, and artwork that comes from an artist. and then they're turning that into the fashion and then promoting the brand, right? Because
That's so cool.
ultimately people
Mhm.
do associate themselves with a number of brands, and I do see in the streetwear space, people want to wear logos. They want logos, but they don't wanna wear logos that are boring and
Yeah.
that are
Right.
thoughtful. When you see artist and brand collaborations come together, I mean, that is a huge place where color culture shines because
Mhm.
you want cut and sew, you want an exterior label, you want uh, all of these like very unique qualities, and you want that on demand. Like
Yeah,
Hannah
it
at colorculture.com.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, shameless plug, but feel free to plug away, and I'll just throw in that, we, so, with our platform, a tripod, we focus a lot on the promotional product space, and I think a lot of people think about promotional products as, kinda just corporate logos going
Yeah.
on a lot of different things, which that to me, that's another whole segment that, wasn't really able to, leverage print on demand, until, probably about right around when color culture started. I think COVID was really the turning point. Um, and the fact, if you just want your brand, on, a water bottle and polos and, backpacks and all kinds of stuff, like that is possible now with print on demand. But people also don't think about, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Hannah, about the CPG side of promotional products. So consumer facing brands that want to promote their brand or their likeness to the community and kind of like leverage the fact that a lot of their consumers do have like an emotional connection to that brand. I mean, I have an emotional connection to Waffle House. Like I love, I think a lot of other people do,
Yeah.
and so any likeness that's going to be, whether that's, the the waffle food cart that I would go to sometimes in Portland, all the way up to Waffle House, or my local pizza pop up, all the way to Domino's, right? Anything in between, any likeness that is being represented on a physical good, to kind of market themselves to, potential consumers or fans. It doesn't matter how small or big you are, you care about how your likeness is being represented on those physical products, and I think that's the part that, in the early days of print on demand was so difficult. That was like a barrier that was so difficult to cross. And now, I mean, when you look at like, yeah, the stuff that we can do, with kind of like, DTF logos on polo shirts and UVDTF on backpacks and stuff like that. But then the stuff that you all do in addition to that with this like bespoke direct to garment, amazing hand feel, amazing blanks, like that's the type of product that really resonates with a lot more of those kind of, you know, artistic, high graphic, type customers. And that's, shameless plug for both of us, kind of why we're partnering with Color Culture, and offering, your catalog and your services for people using Tripod who do need that more, fashion type blanks, and have these huge artistic prints, and are doing things maybe more, on kind of, yeah, CPG side or licensing, type clients.
Yeah, I love to see the CPG brands that are really investing in their merch. I think that I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought about COVID in a really long time until this podcast. It's true though, but since COVID, I think that people crave human connection,
Yeah.
and they crave human connection through a variety of avenues. And through brands and through community, you can attain that. There's nothing like walking through the airport and seeing someone with your university logo, or possibly like had gone to a concert that you were at, and someone gives you a shout out and they're just a stranger,
Yeah.
and it creates that connection. But unless somebody has an item that they want to put on and wear through the airport or wear at the coffee shop, that connection is not necessarily achieved, but I do see brands nowadays seeing, "Oh, well, we're spending money on this. It's a walking billboard. No one's gonna hire a paid ads agency that isn't gonna be effective, right?" It's the same when it comes to merch.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's interesting. We've had, a range of clients that we've supported, and, we are now seeing more often clients actually understanding that this can be purely brand extension and an ad, because this one item that they get from the trade show, whether it be this amazing embroidered hat, then goes out to the coffee shop, then goes out to a park, then and you don't know where your brand can travel. There's no limit to where your brand can travel. And that's a really interesting point and concept in this industry is the more the extra investment of maybe, let's say, $2 or $3 on an item can give you tenfold back on how much visibility your brand has, and where your next client can come from. And we know now, right? Marketing says that somebody has to see your brand upwards of 12 times before they actually take action. So you're
Mm,
in that visibility over and over again. Probably, probably less than you'd be investing in an Instagram ad with a $30 conversion, and whatever the case is. So it's a really interesting concept of how people see their brand represented on merch, and their willingness to push that further into a culture that is so fashion dependent.
It's the next level word of mouth strategy.
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
You know? I
Yeah.
mean, if you love it, you're gonna talk about it.
Mhm.
Um, you you wear it. You're more satisfied with the brand because now you feel connected to it. If we're talking about like NPS and Net Promoter Score, okay, well, brand gave me a shirt that I ended up tossing out or giving to the Goodwill, gave me a hoodie that I wear every single day and the seams are popping because I've worn it 500 times and now I'm taking it to the tailor because I just can't get rid of it. You know?
Yeah.
What do you
Totally. Well, and it's almost like going back to like the long fast fashion whatever term that we came up with earlier. Um
Smart fashion, fast,
smart
eco-friendly,
fashion, fast
sustainable.
fashion. Yeah. It's
POD.
like yeah, yeah, premium POD, but it's very compatible with this like influencer culture and like all these brands that are starting like on TikTok and on social media and all these CPG brands that sort of like pop up out of nowhere because now through social media and through, kind of like influencer marketing and internet culture, brands like similar barriers to entry have been lowered for CPG brands. To your point, Karina, about like all the different types of milks, that exist now. I mean, every single type of product, whether it's like popcorn or licorice or I mean like candy, all types of different products now. There's all these um exciting options that have sort of been born through like Instagram, TikTok, just sort of, very like bootstrap kind of organic ways. And then to now be able to take merch, premium merch, not just like cheap giveaway merch, but really premium products. And then you're lowering the barrier to entry on those products where, you can have either you can just order 12 if you need it for a video of people, or you can have, a product or a set of products online that get automatically fulfilled through tripod and color culture. It's sort of accessible to every type of brand now, and that's what's so exciting to me.
I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So in closing, I try to always ask this. The okay, 5 years from now, where do we think where do we think the industry look? What do we think the industry looks like 5 years from now?
Are we talking POD industry or fashion industry?
However big you want to take it, retail as we know it.
Yeah, I think I think this may actually be uh, 10-year, um, a 10-year vision, but I do continue to see the market in the fashion industry become more and more decentralized, and I do see, end customers wanting to be more and more individualized. I think that there's a space where people will start building their own merch for them
Mm,
and maybe using POD or finding a way to use POD um, for just one unit designs, not for a brand, but for individual consumption to be like their own artist and their own creator designer of their own wardrobe. I do think that will come.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see like the interactive POD model where if we're just going back to the Waffle House, honestly, I'm getting kind of hungry thinking now it's like lunchtime.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, I love this design, but I want it on a hoodie. So it's similar to like the Nike model, right? Nike is setting the stage for what I think could be possible for POD would be consumer is now interacting with the brand to purchase what design, what blank, add to cart, POD makes it. And that way it creates that virtual connection and also personalization for the end consumer.
Yeah, 100%. All of those things. I actually hadn't really thought about, the individual, personal brands, but it makes so much sense because everybody's doing that, like the younger generation especially is doing that with social media and, whether it's like their presence on, Instagram or X or Roblox or, whatever. I think things are all going in that direction. So, all right. Well, this was a great conversation. So in closing, you know, on our side, color culture is going to be part of the tripod platform. So very soon, tripod customers will be able to leverage their premium catalog and premium printing, and so more on that when that sort of goes live. But anything in closing, Karina, Hannah, how can everybody reach color culture? How can everybody, sort of start working with you, whether through tripod or not?
Did you take that?
Well, Hannah at colorculture.com. Plug it twice.
HANNAH.
Correct. There's an H at the end, a palindrome. Yeah, reach out. Honestly, I love to take discovery calls, have a face to face, add me on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're going to post this on LinkedIn, but
It'll be on LinkedIn for sure.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, and our doors in Sugarland are open. People can come in and touch and feel the items.
Yep.
We're going to be expanding our trade show presence. So, depending on if you go to most of them, will 100% be at PPAI in January. Let's see, where else can they find us?
ASI Chicago.
Colorculture.com. We are Color Culture on Instagram. Follow us, like us, comment on our posts, help us boost our IG presence. Right now, let's see, Karina and I are both the marketing team, sales team, social team, sourcing team. What else are we? Finance, your finance, and
I don't think we have enough time to go through the whole
okay.
list.
Yeah,
In closing, colorculture.com
You
and
will reach one of us.
great. All right. Well, thank you so much, both, for your time. It's been great working with you both, and we're looking forward to a great future and exciting times ahead.
thanks,
Thank
Alex.
you.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Take care.